and welcome to today's virtual wild encounter with the Memphis Zoo. My name is Nikki, and I am here with my friend Matthew, the Savannah monitor. Now, I'm wearing this mask out of an abundance of care and caution. As you may have heard, other mammals that are not humans or primates are susceptible to the COVID-19 virus, so we're being as cautious as we possibly can here at the zoo, not only around each other, but around the mammals that we work with as well. Now, Matthew is not a mammal, he is a reptile, he's a big lizard, and my moderator Whitney is well over 6 feet away and is going to keep her personal protective equipment on. So I'm going to take off my mask so that you guys can hear me better. Matthew started this program in my hands before I put him on the table, and he said that he wants to come back. I do really want to quickly give a shout out to my good friend Kim. She is the one that hooked me up with that super special mask that I just had on. It has guinea fowl on it, so a super special lady gave me a mask with some super special birds. Thank you, Kim. Now my friend here, Matthew, who's just going to keep backing up to hang out, is a Savannah monitor, and they are found in the savannas of Africa. So they like to spend their time in the tall grasses of Africa. And while they're out there, they are looking for food. Monitors love to eat all kinds of meat. They are real carnivores. So they'll eat lizards, they'll eat small rodents like mice, they'll eat eggs that they find. They really love bugs, all kinds of bugs. They like worms, they like beetles. One of their favorite foods, though, is actually snails. They can crush through the shell of a snail and get the soft bit out on the inside, and that makes a really tasty escargot snack. Now you can see that Matthew is a really large lizard, but he can get a little bit bigger than this. We're not quite sure how old Matthew is. He is a rescued lizard. Now, unfortunately, whoever had him before he found his way to us had him as a pet, and maybe that wasn't the best idea. You guys might see that he's got some white spots along his body, and those are burn marks and scars. It takes a lot of really special care no matter what kind of animal you choose to take care of, and it's important to know what exactly that species needs. So whoever had him before maybe wasn't paying quite enough attention to the needs of this animal, and maybe gave him a little too much heat and didn't take care of his sheds because some of his toes are a little funny. But luckily for Matthew, he wound up at a rehab center, a wildlife rehab center here in Tennessee, even though he's from Africa. And we found him and were able to bring him in and give him a home. Now, unfortunately, most animals that are taken in as pets that people decide that they're not able to care for anymore aren't able to find homes at zoos. We just so happened to have a space for him. We were happy to bring him in. So the best thing you guys can do if you're interested in having a pet is to ask yourself, will I be a good human for this animal? Will you be able to take care of it for its whole lifetime? Animals that live several decades, 20, 30 years or more. Will you be able to give it the right food, the right temperature, the right housing? Will you be able to give it exercise? And will you make sure that that animal stays healthy for its entire life? Now, you guys can help out Matthew and us here at the zoo to continue to provide the best care possible to our animals by donating to our emergency relief fund or becoming a member. And you can do all of that through our website. Why don't you come right back over here, Bobby? You're a little close to the edge of the table. Now, monitors like Matthew do like to eat all kinds of meat, and they also sometimes like to eat dead things that they find. So they're called scavengers. And we have a lot of scavengers here in Tennessee. Some of the famous ones are Virginia opossums and black vultures. They're some of my favorite animals, believe it or not. And scavengers are a really important part of any ecosystem, whether it's the savannas of Africa or right here in Memphis. By eating all of those dead things, they keep the environment nice and tidy, they keep it from being stinky and dirty, and it also stops the spread of disease that can even hurt us. So having scavengers around is really important. But unfortunately, a lot of scavengers are facing issues because of a human-made problem. And that is a great reason to remember that saving wildlife starts at home. And now's a perfect time for you guys to decide one thing that you can start doing to save wildlife right here in our state and around the world. Some great ways to help scavengers is to just be careful with your trash. Make sure your trash winds up in a trash can and that the lid is nice and secure. Even if you throw a banana peel out the window in your car, something that would degrade while it sat out there in the wild, that still smells like food and can attract scavengers closer to the road, which is a really dangerous spot for them. And of course, our trash, even though it's trash to us, smells pretty great to the scavenger. So they might try to get in your trash can and eat something that would make them kind of sick. So if you store your trash outside, make sure the lid's really nice and tight and can't be gotten into by any of those scavengers we have here in Memphis. Another really great way not only to help our native wildlife, but wildlife all around the world, is by reducing your trash. A lot of times we go straight to recycling, and recycling is important, but if you've ever heard the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle, that is an excellent order to remember things in. The best thing to do is first start by reducing the amount of trash you make. Maybe use a reusable water bottle instead of a plastic one. Maybe take a reusable grocery bag to the grocery store when we're able to go again. Or look for other ways to reduce the amount of trash you're making. The second best thing to do is reuse. Maybe you got a container of deli meat that's got a nice plastic container with a lid on top. Wash that out and use it for leftovers for a while. A really great way to keep that out of the landfill for a little longer. And when all else fails, time to recycle. So by just making a little small change, by being conscious about reducing the trash we make, reusing what we can, that's a really great way that you can save wildlife right in your own home. So on behalf of myself, Matthew the Monitor, and everyone here at the Memphis Zoo, thank you for that one change you're going to start doing to help start saving wildlife at home. Now, I'm sure you guys have tons of questions about Matthew and tons of other things, so throw them in the comment section, and Whitney will read them out, and we'll see what we can answer for you guys.
Well, you know, they love to start with the shout out, so immediately we see the hellos. Jared caught our little test earlier. He says, hello again.
Hi, Jared.
Hazel, who you may recognize, 2-year-old, who's always on this show, and her commentary today is Baby Dragon!
He does kind of look like a baby dragon. His distant cousin is the Komodo dragon, but he is not venomous like that. He's a different kind of monitor.
We've got Diana, hello from Tampa, Florida.
Oh, Tampa. Hey, Diana.
And of course, we got lots of friends, Allison and Andre, joining the show today.
Awesome. Glad to see you guys.
Okay, let's see. Well, unfortunately, Carmen, I don't speak the best Spanish, so if you do have a question, I would recommend trying it in English. But I'll do my best to translate a little bit later when I have another questions being asked. Abby, age 10, wants to know, how long is he?
He is about 2.5 feet long, and we don't exactly know how old Matthew is because based on some other qualities that he has, his behavior, his preference for food, and a couple of other things, we think he's several years old, which would mean he should probably be a little bit bigger than he is, which makes me think that maybe whoever had him before he found his way to the zoo wasn't giving him the best nutrition. But luckily here at the zoo, we have tons of food that we can give him that is nice and healthy and will keep him in tip-top shape. In fact, I brought some Earthworms to see if he wants to eat them. I don't know if he's hungry right now. Oh, no, he's on the prowl.
We're going to turn the camera just a little bit. All right, and they want to know, you talked about the kind of foods they'll eat in the wild, but what kind of food will he eat here at the zoo?
That's a great question. Well, one of his favorites is earthworms. These are an extra special treat, though. He doesn't get them every day, so he's getting a little extra something for coming out and saying hello to you guys, which he loves to do. But so every day of the week, he gets something. So oftentimes he will get crickets. He gets these things called superworms. Gets those pretty regularly. They do also eat rodents in the wild. So once a week, he will get a small mouse that has been thawed out for him to eat. And then we'll give him some other bugs along the way too. I'm working on getting him a can of snails so he can get some of those yummy snails they like to eat in the wild too.
Okay, Gallimimus on YouTube wants to know, do they dig up crocodile nests similar to Nile monitors?
Ooh, that's a great question. They're not going to go after crocodile nests necessarily, but if they find an egg on the ground, they're definitely going to eat it. They can climb. They're not super great climbers, but they can climb a bit, so they can get up there and get an egg. But that's not a specific thing they're going for. They're a little more generalized. Good question, though.
We've got Elizabeth also on YouTube. Hi, from New York City.
Hi, New York City.
We used to live here in Memphis and visit the zoo. The webcams are amazing.
Glad you're enjoying them. We're glad to be doing them for you.
Yep. Oh, the age-old question. Zoe, age 10, do they bite?
Ah, that's what everybody wants to know about every animal we work with. And I'm going to tell you the same thing of any animal you ask it about. Anything with a mouth can bite. Even me. If it eats, it's got to be able to bite. Now, the reason that we don't have to worry about Matthew biting us is because we work with him every day to make sure that he's nice and cozy when he's around us. And when he first came to live with us, he was really wary of people. He was a little nervous. He would kind of hiss and puff out anytime we'd come close. But anytime he would show any of that behavior, we would just back off a little bit. That was him saying, I don't want to play right now. So we would say, okay. And then when he calmed down, we'd try again. And he learned that he could tell us yes and no. He had choices with us. So as long as we listened to him, and we don't poke our fingers in his mouth, he has no reason to bite us. So he's a really nice boy.
So we did get our Spanish. I was pretty close, but I thought it was going to be. It's asking what's he called, so either name or what he is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he is a Savannah monitor, and his name is Matt. Sometimes we call him Matthew when we want to be fancy. Their scientific name is Varanus exothematicus, so it's a little bit part of their scientific name anyway. And also, our chief zoological officer is the one that found him and brought him here to us. So we wanted to name him after the guy that saved him.
Aw, and just for everyone knows, that's actually the zoo dude, so.
That's right, the zoo dude is the one that connected us with Matt, the monitor.
All right, and Andre wants to know, what is their average lifespan?
Yeah, so in human care, of course, they can live a lot longer than in the wild, which is pretty typical of most animals because we can make sure they get veterinary care, they get good nutrition, they don't have to worry about predators or protecting themselves from anything. So in the wild, they can live 10 to 20 years, and he can live even longer than that in human care.
All right. Oh, we got a West shout out to you. Good job, Nikki.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Presley, age 6. I miss the zoo so much, and his favorite animals are hippos.
Ooh, hippos are fun. They're also from Africa, like Savannah monitors.
So, Nikki, what's your favorite animal?
I like all animals, to be perfectly honest. I don't tell the other animals, but Matthew and I have talked. I'm his favorite keeper, and I think he might be my favorite animal.
Oh, goodness. Okay, your secret's safe with us.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
You got a shout out from Liz saying, hi, Nikki.
Hey, Liz.
And so no one's asked yet, but I would like to know, we talked about the different things that he'll eat here, but what is his actual favorite food?
You know, I think that of the things that we offer him here at the zoo, just about anything that shows up, he's pretty stoked about, which is true of Savannah monitors. They're not picky animals, and they love to eat. In the wild, they're going to eat as much as they can because they're not quite sure when their next meal is coming from. So that's a pretty innate thing for a monitor. So what we have to be careful of here at the zoo is not overfeeding him. We want to make sure that he's satiated, that he's a good, healthy weight and body condition without giving him too much. So we take weights on him at least several times a month. We get our hands on him every day, which is nice because he likes to come out and hang out with us anyway. We actually had him out in a grassy space in the zoo yesterday, letting him get some sun. We thought he'd want to run around and get exercise, and he said it just felt good to fall asleep. It was so cute. But he loves to eat his crickets, he loves superworms, and these extra special treat, his earthworms are always fun. But I gotta say that on Mouse Day, he probably gets the most excited. Mm-hmm.
All right. I know every time I hear you guys talking about, I'm like, maybe one day I'll get brave enough to try one. Just kidding. Never gonna happen.
I don't think I want to try that. I'll let him have them.
That's right. Rebecca would like to know, how much does he currently weigh?
That is a great question. The last time I weighed him was a couple of months ago. So I don't know his most current weight, even though I just looked at it yesterday. So I have a bad memory. But we weigh in kilograms. So in pounds, he's probably about 5 pounds. Maybe not quite that heavy. I'm bad at my conversions.
It's okay. I forget too. I'm always metric systems. So we talked a little bit about scavengers, and we talked a little bit about, why we shouldn't throw banana peels on the ground even though they'll decompose. Is there anything else we can do to help reduce trash or litter and help out guys like the Savannah monitor lizard?
There's tons of things that we can do, even from the comfort of our own home, to help animals like the Savannah monitor and the other animals that live right here in our backyards. It's always a good idea to make sure that your own trash is taken care of and put in a secure trash can where it belongs. If you see anything on the ground, have some sort of protection before you pick it up if you don't know where it came from. But you can always help by picking up litter that you might find and putting in a trash can. And it's really the easiest thing to do, and the biggest difference that you can make is just by reducing your trash. So while you're spending some time at home and you've got some time to think about it, look at the products that you use every day. Is there a shampoo that you have to buy once a month that maybe you can buy a bigger bottle of and only have to buy maybe every 3 months? You've already reduced your trash. Is there a certain drink that you really like maybe you like a soda that you drink out of small bottles? Can you buy a bigger amount and not have to make so much trash? Thinking about those kind of things and reducing the trash that we're putting in the landfill that might accidentally wind up in the wild is the best and easiest thing you can do to help every single animal on the planet. That seems like a little bit of an overstatement, but it's so true, you guys. You have a lot of power to make a lot of difference for every animal that's out there just by watching what you put in the trash can.
Man, that's so awesome.
Yeah, you guys can all be superheroes, which I think is pretty cool.
And of course, Matthew seems pretty excited about this topic as he makes his way back over. Now, what is he walking over towards?
So I brought a little sand pan for him. This is just a form of enrichment. We like to give him anything, different things to dig in, because that's a very natural behavior for a Savannah monitor, and he thinks it's pretty fun. So sometimes he'll get a big wad of newspaper. So we've already read the newspaper, we don't want to throw it away, we want to reuse it. So we'll shred it up and give it to him, and he can dig through it and go crazy. We'll give him mulch, we'll give him dirt. Today I brought some sand for him. He doesn't seem too interested in digging in the sand, but he thinks the outside of it's fun. He's kind of been pushing it around a little bit. So not really what I intended, but if he's happy, I'm happy.
All right, we have some more questions for you. Kathy would like to know, are his nails sharp, and do you have to trim or file them?
Yeah, that's a great question. His nails should be pretty sharp. His Savannah monitor nails should be pretty sharp, which is what helps them dig around in the dirt. Matthew's really aren't that sharp, and we've only had to do one nail trim on just a couple of nails. Unfortunately, whoever owned him before probably didn't pay very close attention to his sheds. Because lizards do shed their skin, kind of like a snake in a little bit different way, but kind of the same. And if they don't shed it all the way, it can cut off blood circulation and cause parts of their toes or tail or wherever it's stuck on to fall off. So he's missing the ends of several of his toes, and a few of his toenails aren't shaped quite right. So Matthew doesn't really have sharp toenails just because he had kind of a hard start to life, but luckily he lives with us now and is in really good condition and doesn't seem to mind too much.
All the more reason to really research before you make an investment on a pet.
That's right. A very common question that we get about animals here at the zoo is, can I have it as a pet? And unfortunately, the answer to most of that is yes, you can acquire one as a pet. But my better question that I think you should ask is, should I get it as a pet? Will I be a good human for that animal? Just because something's available doesn't mean you should bring it into your home. Animals take a whole lot of care, even if it's something like a dog or a cat, which is a great choice. If you go to a shelter and pick up a dog or cat, awesome animals, awesome pets. But even then, you want to make sure you do your research. Are you going to have a place where that animal can get exercise? Are you going to be around enough to handle it and make it comfortable around humans? Is it safe for you to have? Sometimes people get animals in their homes that aren't even safe for them to own. So anytime you're thinking about getting a pet, do a ton of research and be really honest with yourself about if that's an animal that should be in your home and if you will be a good human for it for its entire lifetime.
So much good information there. We've got our usuals, Caitlin and Ian. They want to know if Matthew plays with other animals and will they eat their own eggs?
Aha! So they are solitary in the wild, so hanging out with other animals isn't something that's super common for them to do. One thing that we will do though is take him on walks. So he can get out and kind of see the birds and the bugs that are out there in some of the green spaces that are safe for him to go. And sometimes with our animals, we just show them to each other. Because he is an education animal, he's one of our ambassador animals, it's important that he's comfortable in a whole lot of different scenarios. He's trained to be comfortable coming out, to meeting all kinds of different people in all kinds of different scenarios. So the more things that he can be exposed to and learn that he's safe around, the better. So sometimes just showing him something weird like us doing a silly dance or walking by with an umbrella or showing him a different animal are all great ways to not only enrich him, keep his mind working, but also help him be comfortable in whatever situation he might be in.
You were not kidding about those worms.
He loves the earthworms.
All right, we're gonna try
Also,
it.
sorry, Bella. I don't know if you wanted to train him later, but I'm giving him snacks now.
We're going to try to get a little closer for this one. Abby, age 10, does he use his tongue to smell like snakes do?
Oh, that's a great question.
We're going to see if he'll come up and maybe explore the camera a little.
You might be able to see that he has a forked tongue. Lizards do stick their tongues out. Some of them have forked tongues, some of them have round tongues, but the idea is very similar to a snake. There it is, that little taste. He's just swallowing right now, but oh, there you go. They'll stick their tongues out 10, 20, 30 times a minute depending on what they're doing. If they're hunting, they're going to stick that tongue out a lot more. So just like a snake, what he's doing is he's basically smelling. He said you look a little interesting, and I'll back up just a little bit. So they stick their tongue out and they like to sniff the air. So you guys are getting a really good look right now at his forked tongue.
We are getting a great look.
The reason that he has a forked tongue is to help him navigate where he's going. So if he tastes a smell of food a little bit more on the right side, well, that means he needs to go to the right to get to that food. If he tastes a little more on the left side, you want to go left to find the food. And if it's equally tasted in between, straight ahead is where the snack is at.
That's so interesting. Yeah, he definitely was interested in the camera there for a minute.
Yeah, that was good enrichment.
All right, we got Anaya, age 6, and so how many eggs will they lay at one time?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, Matthew's a boy, so he will not lay any eggs at one time. But the females will lay 5 to 10 eggs at a time, but that can be kind of a lot. So they don't lay very many at one time. It also depends on how many resources are available. If there is a time when there's plenty of food and everything's good, they might lay a few more, and if maybe not so good, they won't have the energy to lay quite as many. But once they hatch out, they are good to go on their own. Those little monitors are gonna go off and be independent as soon as they hatch out, so they don't need mom to stick around.
Here's an interesting one I've never thought about. Wes like to know, what makes Savannah monitors unique among other monitors?
Other than the fact that they're adorable and my favorite monitor. I think one of the things that kind of makes them unique, and frankly, I'm not an expert on many monitors. He's one of the first monitors I've ever gotten to work with, so he's been a really good gateway monitor for me to get to learn a little bit more about them. So I'm sure if you go online to some reputable sources like other zoos' website, our website, or some other animal sites, you might find a little bit more information. But my understanding is these guys aren't quite as scavenging as some of the other monitors are. They tend to prefer insects over larger prey, and they tend to not eat quite as many dead things. They don't snack on carrion quite as much as some of those other monitors, but they will. So if I am incorrect, I am sorry. I can't wait to go research that and learn more about it.
I'm sure someone will pop up in the comments what's going on. Okay, getting a lot of questions just again about maybe what the name is and who we're looking at.
Yeah, so if you guys are just joining us, welcome. This is Matt, and he is the Savannah monitor. So Matt gets his name because their scientific name is Varanus exathematicus, so it's kind of already in his name. And also, if you guys know our zoo dude, he is the one that found Matthew here at a wildlife rehab center here in Tennessee and brought him here to live with us. You guys might see that Matthew has a few, well, we call him Matthew when we're fancy, but his name is Matt. He's got some white spots along his body. That is not normal for Savannah monitors. Those are scars and burn marks from a life that he had before we found him. Someone had him as a pet, which probably, well, definitely for him, was not a good idea. They weren't providing the proper care for this animal, and so he's a little bit smaller than he should be right now. He's got some of those burn marks, and unfortunately he's missing some of the tips of some of his toes. But lucky for Matt the zoo dude found him and brought him to live his life here at the zoo, where he is very happy and very healthy.
Well, I could be wrong here, but I think we've got a first timer here, Andre and Elijah Jones. Welcome, Elijah.
Hey, welcome you guys.
And Elijah would like to know, what does Varanus mean?
Ooh, that's a good question. So Varanus is their genus, and so if you know a little bit about taxonomy, that's basically the way that we call the family tree of all animals. So a species is the most basic one. It's the smallest the group of animals. So exathematicus is his species. That's the specific type of lizard he is. Now when you go up to the genus level, that's the next level up, that's kind of like all of his closest cousins, all of his first cousins. So any other lizards that have that name Varanus in their scientific name means they're a cousin of Matthew. You can keep going up the family tree until you get all the way up to Animalia, and that means that all animals are in that branch. So taxonomy is a really cool way that scientists are able to look at animals, see how they're related, how closely related, or maybe even how distantly related, and how unique they are. It also sounds pretty fancy.
I thought he was about to just rediscover that sand there. Okay, well, Megan would like to know, which exhibit does he live in?
Good question. So we have several different kinds of monitors and other super cool lizards that you can see over in our herpetarium once we're able to open back up. We can't wait to see you guys again. But Matthew is an extra special guest for you guys to see. Matthew lives behind the scenes because he is one of our ambassador animals, lives in our education department. So he is kind of behind the scenes doing his own thing, taking a break whenever he's not working, but he also is trained to come out to do education programs. So you'll get to see him on fun virtual encounters like this. You might get to see him once we open back up at some of our Wild Encounter shows, some of the education programs we do. So Matthew is a really great animal for us to have that helps represent his species in the wild and a lot of really important conservation messages, like why it's important to do your research before you get a pet. Why animals like lizards and other scavengers are super important. So Matthew's got a lot of stories to tell, and I like to think that me and my fellow zookeepers that work with him are kind of his voice to help him tell those stories.
Oh, we love hearing that. Zoe H. 10 wants to know, how does he communicate?
Ooh, what a fun question. I love studying animal behavior, and that is the study of how they communicate. Every single animal out there, even spiders and scorpions, snakes, everything out there has a way of communicating. And you just have to learn what that looks like in order to know what they're telling you. So some of the main ways that they can communicate if they are afraid is they'll make a hissing sound, they'll whip their tail, they flatten out and kind of turn into a pancake, make themselves look really big, and they're like, hey, back off, leave me alone. He's clearly not doing any of those things, which means that I'm doing a good job making sure he feels nice and safe. The behavior that you're seeing right now, what he's communicating is that he is really cozy, really comfortable, and just kind of calmly curious. He's got that nice tall posture, but not too tall. That's nice and relaxed. His tail's kind of gently curled around. He's walking around nice and slow and has a nice slow tongue flick that he's doing. So he's just saying, I'm here, this is pretty cool, I'm interested in what's going on, and I'm just kind of happy to be here. I have to say though, his eyes have started to kind of dip just a little bit, and he does like an afternoon nap. So I think we'll take one more question, and then I'll let Mr. Matthew go back home for his afternoon nap.
Well, let's get this one in then, because we haven't even talked on the subject. How fast is he?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know if anyone has ever clocked them for miles per hour. If they have, I haven't read yet, and I hope I find out pretty soon. When he's just walking around, he's going to be pretty slow like this. They want to conserve as much energy as they can. Reptiles need the warmth of the sun to get energy, and they're really slow digesters. So any food they get is going to take them a while to get that energy. They want to conserve as much as they can. But if they find food that they want, they can get a really fast burst of speed, run after it, and grab it and eat it. Most of the things he's looking for are worms, beetles, they love snails, but they'll also eat lizards, some eggs, and even sometimes a small rodent like a mouse. So if he needs to be, he can be really fast. But most of the time, he just takes it easy. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us on today's virtual wild encounter. Don't forget, saving wildlife starts at home. So while you're spending so much quality time at home, make sure you start looking for those ways to reduce your trash and reuse what you can to make sure it stays out of the landfill and keeps scavengers all across the world happy and healthy. Join us tomorrow. We'll have another virtual wild encounter here with the Memphis Zoo. Bye, everybody.